So this is part 2 to the police experience I had in the barge inn. So where were we? The police officer looked like a stormtrooper. He was, just... And people did say to me afterwards when I spoke to them, they said he looked like a right wanker and his attitude was disgusting. I mean, okay, I was swearing at him, but you want to see the way he was reacting back to me. It wasn't like a police officer, being all like, no, calm down, sir, now let's not have any of that or whatever, yeah. It was full on like, fucking, I'm going to fucking arrest you now. And it's like, well, go on then, so, that's my YouTube timer. Keeps me safe. So he really was obnoxious, this guy. And anyway, so he decided, I can't quite remember how he sort of descended away, but he sort of skulked back into his car. And I said, what, you're not going to arrest me then, are you? Yeah? I said, I thought you were going to arrest me a minute ago. Now you're not going to fucking arrest me. Maybe you realise that I've got something that's going to get you in fucking trouble. Yeah, with the witnesses. Oh, yeah. Go on then, skulk off, Mr. Officer. Nice to see you. Good night. Yeah. And it's like, so he fucked off. And I think Charlie Veach would have probably been proud. But, yeah, I've got a bit of an attitude with some police officers, especially when they start getting in my face. So... but you got to keep it legal. You got to keep it legal. You got to understand your rights. So, yeah, he fucked off, and I decided to put in a complaint to the Police Complaints Authority. And I got to remember Hatswell, I think his name was, right? So let me write this down because I'll forget it, and it only just come back to me. Hatswell, I think his name was. This guy I'm going to talk about in a minute. Anyway, Police Complaints Authority I made a complaint to them saying that I had been chased from my house by what was apparently at the time an unknown vehicle, which had caused me distress, and there could have easily been an accident in the 10-minute sort of rip from my house to the barge, and that then the blue lights being put on was the only time I realised that I had actually been followed, and I found the whole incident so suspicious I was not prepared to stop because I was actually fearful for what could potentially happen, be it a police officer or be it a member of the public. I was fearful of what was just about to fucking happen because something wasn't right. So I said, but I'm complaining about the police officer's attitude, the illegal search of my vehicle, when many witnesses were present, and I stated before he actually got in the vehicle, I wanted a reason why I'd been stopped. I wanted a reason why he was going to search my vehicle, and I told him that it was illegal, and I gave him the chapter and verse on why it was illegal and why he shouldn't enter my vehicle without giving me a reason, and he did so anyway, basically telling me to fuck off. And I then complained about the fact that he was driving with his with this dog. I didn't see the dog, but with a dog. He did say there was a dog in the back of his vehicle because I asked him, but I didn't actually see it. I complained about that anyway, saying that I thought it was really bad for somebody who's a dog handler to be driving around like a frigging lunatic, doing things in the middle of the night that he shouldn't be doing, and. Anyway, the letter that came back from the PCA, the Police Complaints Authority, I did show you a bit of that earlier on, but there it is again. Go to video 1 if you want to read a bit more about it. Anyway, it's from 10 Great George Street, London, reference 2000/141/003/201. Dated 23rd of June 2000, so if anybody wants to get that under Freedom of Information, please feel free to do so to prove it's real. It says, Dear Mr. Williams, I am writing about the complaint you made on 18th of June 1999 concerning an officer of Wiltshire Constabulary. You complain that PC Mead, that was his name, PC Mead, followed your car too closely at speed, and the officer searched your car for no good reason and acted oppressively. An investigation into your complaint has been carried out based on your statement of 5th of November 1999. Now, there we are, 5th of November 1999. We'll come back to this in a minute because the question that I was actually asked by the YouTube viewer was, could I talk about the threats that were made to me by a police officer. And this is when the police officer came to my house. I had a phone call when I put the complaint in from Wiltshire Constabulary. Could I get back in touch with them? And I said yes. Rang them back and I said, can I speak to, I think it's Chief Inspector Hatswell. Yeah, and he was the head of the complaints department. That's easy to check. If anybody wants to check that out, I'm sure that's they'll have a record of him being there during that time. He might still be there. I don't know. Anyway, so I said yes, I'll meet with you. Not a problem. So time and a date was set, and this police officer came to my house on that day. Now it just so happens that somebody I know, and didn't really fucking like, and ended up, towards the end of my knowing him, me saying, will you just fuck off out of my life, you fucking knob-end twat? Yes, because he used to wind me up and push my fucking buttons. So anyway, I told him to fuck off. But anyway, during this period, Mr. fucking dickhead, who was always in trouble with the police, but for very legitimate reasons, Mr. Dickhead was at my house, and I asked him to leave because I knew that he was driving a car that was untaxed. Now, I didn't want this Mr. Hatswell from the police complaints department coming to my house and just having a little look at all the cars parked outside and seeing that this one that was parked directly outside my door, which belonged to my friend, just didn't happen to have a tax disc on it. Yes, so I asked my friend to please fuck off. Yeah, and he said, it doesn't matter, it doesn't really fucking matter. And I said, it fucking does matter, because I've got to speak to this fucking guy from the police complaints, and I know, fuck off out of my house, go now. Yeah, and now I wanted time to set up a tape recorder. Yeah, I wanted to set up a tape recorder so I could record the whole of my conversation with this Mr. Hatswell. Yeah. Now, the reason I feel that you need to do this, it's so fucking important that you do this, right? If you ever get questioned by the police in your house, yeah, or they come to take a statement, secretly record the whole thing, yeah? The reasons for this will become blatantly clear when I tell you what now is just about to happen, right? But it's because the police can change what you have said, or say that something you said you never said. It's like the police can change it. If you have a record of that, you can show that the police are fucking wrong or lying. Yes? And it's so fucking important because these people, they do what they want, how they fucking want. Yeah? If you do what you want, how you fucking want, you're a criminal. But when they do what they fucking want, how they want, they're just police officers. Yeah? That's just police business, sir. So, anyway, so that's why it's really fucking important. Now, this pricko called Mark wouldn't leave my house. So, anyway, Hatswell turned up and, knocked on the door and basically passed this fucking Mark, yeah. I got rid of him about 2 minutes before Hatswell turned up, so he probably passed him in the fucking lane. So annoying, yeah? But I was so, shit, I got to get my shit together. I got my shit together, and knock on the door, Mr. fucking Hatswell. Yeah, all right, coming in, and I'm thinking to myself, shit, fucking tape recorder, you fucking wanker, Mark, you complete fucking shithead, you fucked me here. So I'm like, oh, just sit down, yes, let's do the interview then. And I'm like, okay, whatever, it'll probably be fine. I didn't really have any reason to think that anything bad was going to happen, but actually something fucking bad did happen. And I wish I'd had the fucking tape recorder. Because that fucker Hatswell, I swear, I would have had his fucking job. He would have been out on his fucking ear. Yeah, if I had a tape recording of what he said to me in my fucking house. Right. Started off with Hatswell saying, oh, I just need to interview you and ask you a little bit. This is the procedure. This is how it happens. And then we write it all on a piece of paper. And we ask you to sign it, to kind of make sure that you're happy with what's been written. And then it goes into the complaints people. And then they assess it. And then we ring you and let you know what's happened. Or we write to you. Blah, 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 blah. So can I ask you your statement? And yes. And so I was like, this is what happened. Went through the whole thing. Had to take time because I needed time for him to catch up with the writing. He had to write a bit then. All that sort of shit. So it took fucking forever. It took about 2 hours. And when I'd finished doing it all, he said to me, Well, thank you very much for that. I mean, I've actually spoken to PC Mead. I've actually spoken to PC Mead, and you know, I just thought I'd sort of, you know, see what you thought about what you think he would now do to you. And I said, well, what do you mean? What I think he would now do to me? Well, I just wondered what you thought now PC Mead would do to you because you're making this complaint. And I'm like, are you saying that PC Mead is going to do something to me because I'm complaining? That's what you're... Well, he could decide to, couldn't he? Well, I suppose he could, yes, if he wanted to, but would he really be stupid enough to do something like that? Because, you know, what, you're saying he would enact some sort of revenge against me because I have made a complaint against him. That's what you're saying. He said, well, yes. And I said, well, it'd be pretty bloody stupid, wouldn't it? Because if he did this thing to me and I reported him again, then it's not going to look very good, is it? I mean, especially if he does something to me in public, you know, and wouldn't it look like he's harassing me? Because if he's done one thing to me and then the next thing is he's done another thing to me, it's going to look like he's personally got something in for me. Yeah, don't you think that is a stupid thing to say? You know, he's not going to do that. And he said, he looked at me and he said, well, he could get his friends to do it. I said, and you know, by the way, Hatswell, bearded guy, quite big, quite stocky, 6 foot odd high beard. I think he might have had glasses as well, but I can't remember that. I definitely had a beard. I remember that. He's like a grandfather sort of looking character. Anyway, right. So I said, look, I don't know what you're saying to me here. I said to him, you're saying that he could get nasty with me and his friends could get nasty with me. I said, are you suggesting to me that I shouldn't go ahead with this complaint? Is that what you're saying? And he said, no, I'm not saying that. I'm just saying that, you know, these things happen. You know, they could decide to get nasty with you or, you know, and just start, you know, could stop you for other things and, you know, in your car. And I said, look, it's, you know, you're a police officer, yeah? You can't say that without realizing that it looks like harassment, yes? If they do that to me, then that's clear harassment. So it's going to look really bad, isn't it? Yes? Don't you think? And he said, well, I'm just telling you. And I said, well, I don't know why you're kind of suggesting this, because if he's done nothing wrong, then surely, as a good police officer, he wouldn't then go and harass me. I don't understand where this is coming from. And he went, well, okay. And I said, no, I mean, you know, I understand what you're saying, but I can't believe that Wiltshire Police would operate like that, you know. And I said, look, I'm not being funny with you, right? I'm not being funny with you. I don't make complaints against the police every day of the frigging week, yeah? This is the first police complaint I have ever made, and the reason I am making it is not for a little bitch against, you know, tit for tat, yeah? It's not because of that, it's because of the dangerous driving that happened, yeah? And the dog he had in the back of the vehicle, yeah? He put me at risk because I could have had an accident, I could have hit somebody going around one of those corners if the car had gone slightly out of control, yeah? We could have had an accident, and all of that was avoidable because he was hiding outside my fucking house, right? In a rather unusual way. I live in the middle of nowhere. Why was he outside my house, yeah? And I said, now there are witnesses to what he was like on that night. So it gives you a guaranteed picture of what I'm saying is true. Once you speak to the people at the barge, you'll see that. Now, I said, I don't even know who those people are. They're not my friends, right? They're just people in the barge. Yeah? And if you go there and speak to the people there, they'll tell you who these people were. Yeah. Now, I've managed to get a few names, right? But you might find that there are others. So go and speak to them. I can't say. So he said, okay, like that. And he went away. Anyway, the upshot of this is, because I'm going to try and finish this video if I can, so I don't really ram over on the time. But anyway, he went away. I had another phone call 2 weeks later. Oh, police complaints department, yes. Oh, I'd like to make an appointment to come and see you. I said, fine. The guy came round, and I was expecting further questions or to go into detail into some of the things I'd already said on my first statement. Anyway, the guy comes in, he sits down, and I said, would you like a cup of coffee? No, whatever, you know, blah, blah. Right then, I'd like to go through this with you then. So this is the procedure that we have, and this is how we do it, and this is what happens when you've done a complaint, and it goes in, and then it comes back to you, and I'm like, I've heard this before, you know? It's like, okay. And I'm like, yeah, okay, fine. So can I ask you what exactly happened then, you know, on the night? And I'm like, what, from the beginning? He's like, yes, just start from the beginning. And I said, right, you want the whole thing again? And he's like, well, yes, you know, just start from the beginning and tell me what happened. And I said, but why do you need me to tell you this all again? And he said, I don't understand. What do you mean again? And I said, well, I've already done this with Chief Inspector Hatswell. And he said, really? You've given a statement to Chief Inspector Hatswell? I said, yes. I said, do you know Chief Inspector Hatswell? He said, oh, yes, he's my boss. And I said, right. But he came here and he's taken my whole statement, and you want me to do another one? I said, I don't mind doing another one, but I'm just wondering why you need to do another one. Is there, you know? He said, well, there's no record that Mr. Hatswell has been to see you. I said, are you sure about that? And he said, well, I'm pretty sure there's no record at all of Mr. Hatswell coming to see you. That's why I'm here. He said, I'll check on it, but I don't know. And I said, well, I tell you what, mate, all right? If you're absolutely right and Hatswell's not been here, I'm telling you, I know what he looks like. And hang on, I better stop this video because it's going to go over 15 minutes. So I'll finish it in part 3. Sorry.